Sorry. Great. Hey everyone, welcome back to another exciting episode of Mind Over Masculinity, the show where we dive into the topics that are redefining what it means to be a man in today's world. So, I'm your host Avik, and today we are diving into a subject that could completely change how you think about one of the most basic things in life, that is water. And now I'm not just talking about staying hydrated or hitting your daily intake goals, but we are digging into something deeper. How electrolyzed, reduced water can not only boost your physical performance and recovery, but also tackle the issues that many men silently struggle with, like fertility and hormonal health. So my guest today is none other than Kyle Finn. So welcome to the show, Kyle.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Lovely, lovely. So Kyle, like before we start, I'll quickly love to introduce you to all of our listeners. Dear listeners, Kyle is one half of the Kangin couple who, along with his wife Taylor, has dedicated his life to educating people about the hidden power of the water that we drink. So, after experiencing its life changing benefits firsthand, they have become passionate advocates. And today, Kyle's here to break it down for all of us. So, trust me, you are gonna want to stay tuned for this. So, Kyle, I can't wait for this discussion. So, welcome to the show.
Awesome. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Lovely, lovely. So, Kyle, what was the moment that made you realize the water you were drinking wasn't enough, and how ERW, electrolyzed reduced water, changed things for you?
Yeah, definitely. So I kind of started back in October 2023. My wife did some research online and found this thing called electrolyzed reduced water. She was telling me all the benefits, how people have, felt like seen, experienced all these benefits, it's like cured people's cancers and skin issues and eczema. And I was like, I don't know, kind of whatever you found online, but it definitely sounds made up, right? I've never heard of this kind of water. Kind of little backstory. I've been in the fitness industry for about 15 years. We own a couple gyms together. So we felt like we were fairly versed in most things health and wellness. So when she kind of brought this to me, I was like, yeah, I don't really know about this. Water is pretty much just water. As long as you're drinking, your couple liters a day or maybe a gallon a day, if you're super active, then you're doing about all you need to do with water. So like nothing else is really gonna do anything for you. So so that was kind of right below, I guess that was more like August 2023. And then so I was like, go do some more research, let me know what you find. So she came back kind of beginning of October and was like, babe, like you really need to like look into this. Like I found some more articles and like most of the stuff is backed up and verified by scientific research. So she's like, maybe you need to do some research and try, kind of tell me why I'm wrong rather than the other way around. So that kind of started the whole thing, the whole process. So then I was like, okay, well then I'll do some research and I will prove to her that water is just water and there's nothing else that is, above and beyond anything more than just kind of pure water. So everything kind of started out and then so I took the hypothesis essentially like there's no like better water in the world. Like water is essentially just water. But from there, I kind of started thinking about it and was like, well, I mean, clearly, not all water is the same, right? If you gave someone sewer water and then you gave someone clean drinking water, like they would take the clean drinking water, right? So at a macro level, water is not just
Yeah.
water, right? There's better water than others. And then, kind of did some more research into city water, right? That, we have like our municipal water. And then we kind of did some more research into bottled water. We kind of started seeing things, kind of probably see it all over the news now and all over, social medias, like all the microplastics in water from bottled water and kind of what that's doing and how they're finding microplastics in people's, organs and their brain, it's leading to lower sperm count in men, something that I can relate to, and I'll kind of get into more of that in a little bit. But So we were just like, man, like a lot of
Yeah.
these sources of water that we've drank in our whole lives. So we just kind of drank tap water and we're like, it's, our parents drank it. They drink out of the hose. Like, we drink our tap water and we're fine. We're
Mhm.
healthy people, right? We own a gym. Didn't really think anything of it. And then we kind of did some research and we were like, man, there's a lot of contaminants in people's waters. And we looked up our water. There's a website online. It's called the Environmental Wellness Group, and they did kind of like a broad spectrum analysis of all the tap water across the United States. And so we looked up our tap water kind of zip code, and there was like 14 contaminants that were like hundreds of times above the recommended health guideline. And it was things like arsenic, and it was things like chloroform, and it was things like uranium, like heavy metals in the water. So we're just like, wow, like this is kind of crazy, right? Well, this water that we've been drinking might not be great for us. And we've been drinking literally almost a gallon of it a day. Like what is that doing to our health? So kind of
Very
fast
true.
forward a
Yeah.
little bit, a few months, we started drinking this electrolyzed reduced water, and that's kind of what brought us to this. Um, and all the health benefits with that, and kind of the beginning of the process in that October 2023 time, we were talking about starting to have kids. So I took a at-home test, like a sperm test, and I found that I had a very low or zero sperm motility. So we were kind of devastated, and we were wondering, like, are we going to have kids? Are we going to be able to, um, have kids? Are we going to be able to, kind of live out the dream that we were hoping to live? And luckily, with this electrolyzed reduced water, I drank it exclusively from October 2023 until about June 2024. I took another sperm test right there, and I was up in the 50% echelon of sperm count and motility. And then we actually conceived our child in August that year, which is pretty crazy. So now we're expecting our baby girl in May of this year coming up. So been pretty wild.
That
And it's been, rather life-changing for us from that, small perspective right there.
lovely. That's really lovely. And so, first of all, definitely congratulations,
Thank
prior,
you.
definitely, and yeah, and also I think a lot of us assume that as long as we are drinking enough water, we are covered. But clearly, you discover that it's not just about quantity, but it's about quality. So I mean, this has me wondering, like, how much misinformation we have been fed about hydration and health. So yeah,
For sure. Definitely. Yeah, I mean, I
yeah.
think we've been kind of sold. Because if you think about it, right? Well, so I'll get into like essentially what electrolyzed reduced water is, and then we can kind of talk about the misnomers of what we've kind of been sold, the bill of health we've been sold. So, um, for those of you who don't know, so electrolyzed reduced water, we have an electrolysis machine that we hook up to our sink. And we have a pre-filter in it as well. So the water flows through our sink into the pre-filter and essentially gets cleaned. So it's filtered water, and then it goes into our ionizer machine. So the ionizer machine, it plugs into our outlet, water flows through it, and it sends an electrical charge into the water. So the electrical charge, the water runs over these 8 titanium plates in the ionizer machine. The titanium plate has the electrical charge running through it, and it essentially splits the water into a positive and to a negative stream. So it comes out of two hoses in the machine. The top hose is the negative charge hose. So that's where the alkaline water comes out. And the bottom is the positive stream hose, which is where the acidic water typically comes out, right? Because when a water molecule is two hydrogens and one oxygen, right? When you put an electrical current through it, it splits off one of the hydrogens. And so then you generally have a hydrogen atom and then a hydroxide atom, which is the OH, and it has a negative charge, or the hydrogen atom that has a positive charge. And when you put an electrical current through it, through a stream of water, you can separate it into positive and negative streams. And then based on how much electricity you put through the water, that determines then the pH of the water. So if you put a lot of electrical current through the water, it splits it into more of like an 11.5 pH, which is a high pH, a very alkaline pH that comes out of the top hose, and then a 2.5 pH comes out of the bottom hose. So this machine can produce five types of
Right.
water. So it can produce, like I just said, the strong alkaline and strong acidic. It can produce a mild alkaline and a mild acidic, and then it can produce a just a neutral, clean drinking water, like a 7 pH water.
Understood. Understood. So, I mean, also like for the men who is listening who are serious about fitness and performance, why is ERW a game changer compared to the tap or bottled water?
Definitely. Yeah. So, I mean, really, the typical the water that you want to drink from this ionizer is the kind of mild alkaline water. So it has between 8.5 to 9.5 pH water. And that is the electrolyzed reduced water. That's the namesake is the mild alkaline water and has a ton of health benefits. So the main health benefit in it is that it carries more antioxidant properties, right? Because when that water molecule, the H2O, gets split off, the alkaline water then has the hydroxide OH molecule in it, and then also the hydrogen that is left over gets combined into H2, which is hydrogen gas. And if you've done any research into hydrogen gas, it's a very emerging kind of scientific field in terms of the antioxidant properties that the hydrogen gas. You can either take it through actually like inhaling the gas, or you could drink it in your water. And there are a ton of antioxidant properties with the hydrogen gas. So that has that benefit. And then also the alkaline property of the water allows you to essentially kind of balance out your body more because as we probably know, our body craves balance, right? And most people's daily intake is very acidic, right? Thinking of just drinking like coffees or teas, even if you're, eating dairy products or meat products, those are a very acidic property, right? So if you're only drinking and eating things that are relatively acidic, even if they're kind of small on the acidic scale and not, crazy acidic, like something like coffee or tea, if that's comprised like 80% of your diet, then it's no wonder why your GI tract and your gut and your intestines start developing a more acidic nature. And from that acidic nature can develop various diseases. We see a rise in things like prostate cancer and things like gallbladder cancer, bladder cancer, and things like that. And a lot of this is because we're just not achieving balance in our digestive system. And that comes from us not really drinking anything that is alkaline in nature. So when you're just drinking general tap water that has maybe a neutral pH or bottled water that has a neutral 7 pH, or even if you don't have a great quality, some bottled waters like the lower quality bottled waters actually have an also acidic pH, like they're closer to like sixes or 5.5. So that just leads to the issue compounding nature year over year, decade after decade. And then we see later in life these health issues pop up because our body just never balanced from what we're eating and what we're intaking. We're heavy on the acidic side and very low and weak on the alkaline side.
Yeah, exactly. That's lovely. And also, like a lot of men think that, I mean, hydration as a secondary concern to diet or supplements. So, why do you believe that hydration should be top priority instead of an afterthought?
For sure. Well, I mean, the body is
Mm,
what, 70% water? Your brain and your lungs are closer to 85% water. Um, your cells are, majority water. So having high quality water as part of your daily intake and part of your diet, I think is neglected, unfortunately. But like when you think of it and just take a step back and you're like, man, like I am mostly water, right? So if I'm not intaking the best water possible, um, what am I leaving on the table in terms of, my overall health? How could I be feeling? Maybe, since I've started drinking this water for the last year and a half, like I don't really drink coffee anymore. I'll drink it because I enjoy it. I have an espresso every now and then because I like, the way it tastes. But I don't like before I
mm,
was drinking like 20 ounces of coffee in the morning just to kind of feel awake a little bit. And then I would have an espresso in the afternoon. Where now is like I don't really drink coffee to wake up anymore. Like I feel rather energized when I wake up in the morning. I don't feel sluggish. Like this water doesn't just sit in your stomach. It absorbs much better, it absorbs quicker. Um, and so if your body is 70% of something, wouldn't you want that? And now in the case it being water, wouldn't you then want to replace that water and make sure the water you're using to compose your body is the best quality possible? And I think it should be. And if there's a better option out there, then I think at least exploring that option is um, a smart, a smart strategy for someone looking to optimize their health.
Understood. Understood. So, you and Taylor didn't just stop at improving your own health, but you built a business around it. So, what inspired you to take that leap, and how has it been helping others make the same discovery?
Yeah. So the ionizer I talked about comes from a company called Enagic. So they are a direct sales company where if and when you buy a product from them, then you can become a distributor of their products, and you can sell them their products to people and kind of create your own, sales team and sales downline. So, once we saw the benefits that it had for our lives and being gym owners, that was kind of, something that we've always looked for. Getting into the fitness realm, we wanted to help people feel better, right? And we commonly do that through exercise, through diet. And then when we found this technology, it just kind of made a lot of sense as something that can kind of round out our offering. And something that empirically we've seen improvements in our lives and we've seen improvements in pretty much every single person we've sold a unit to has raved about how they feel, how, their skin feels better, they feel better, they have to take less medications. And so it just became like a natural path for us to kind of be a sales rep or an ambassador for this product because it has helped us achieve what we've always set out to achieve in helping people feel better, and take control of their health. We don't think people should just age and feel worse and just like, oh, that's kind of how life is. You just kind of, just, go down as you age and you just feel worse and worse and worse. And then one day you don't wake up anymore. And we're just like, no, like we want to live a fulfilled life as long as possible. We want to live an active life as long as possible. And if we can find technology and if we can find health products that allow us to do that and we vet them ourselves and they pass the litmus test of providing empirical value, then we want to promote those to other people. So we Taylor's been able to replace her income at the gym over the last year or so, and then this past couple months I've joined her, so we're actually selling our gyms and doing this more full time. It's just something that we've kind of essentially found the next chapter of how we want to approach the health and wellness space. And it's going to be less focusing on, the 1 hour a day that people work out and more on the other 23 hours a day of helping people feel better through hydration and, what they put into their body and help them feel better. So we feel like this is just a great opportunity for us, and then also just a great opportunity to help change lives as, honestly, as quickly as possible and as absolutely as possible from what we've seen and what we've experienced.
Exactly. Yeah. And also, one more thing is like, are there any small experiments they can try to see how it affects their energy and the fitness?
For sure. Yeah. I don't know if there's experiments that you could do like low hanging fruit, but what I would say in terms of electrolyzed reduced water, so there are um, less expensive like water bottles you can use that kind of essentially infuse hydrogen into the water. They're not great. They have their shortcomings for sure, but if you're looking to do it for just on a trial basis before kind of jumping into the higher ionizer field, that could be something you could do. But what I would really kind of suggest people is we're trying to do what we did and research the water that you're currently drinking. If you're currently drinking bottled water, consider getting into a more robust filter first. So, a step before ionization would just be making sure that your water is properly filtered based on the contaminants that you're currently probably experiencing based on your water source, right? So if you're currently only drinking bottled water, we'd probably consider or recommend you getting a, countertop filter. We work with another company called MultiPure that has one of the best filters that we've come across. It has the most robust filter in terms of filtering out microplastics, heavy metals, pharmaceuticals, and other contaminants like asbestos and chlorine and chloramine and things like that. So that would be our first recommendation. Our first step is, if you're drinking water from the tap or if you're drinking only bottled water is, let's start drinking better filtered water. And, the cost benefit of that is rather immediate. If you're drinking bottled water, like a gallon of bottled water is, like $4 or $5 on the low end, or maybe even more expensive from there. So if you're drinking a couple 100 gallons a year, if you're drinking even half a gallon a day, that's going to be, 150 gallons a year. So you're going to already essentially pay for the filter in the first year, and you're going to feel better because you're actually filtering out all the contaminants that are in your source
Exactly.
water from there.
Perfect. Perfect. That's really lovely. So, Kyle, this has such an enlightening conversation today. And definitely, you have given us a lot to think about, especially when it comes to things that we often take for granted, like water that we drink every day. So, for everyone who is listening, if you are feeling inspired to take action, then don't let this be one of those episodes you just listen to and forget. Start small, try something new, even if it's just becoming more aware of the toxins in your water or experimenting with the ways to improve hydration. You will be surprised by how much power lies in the simplest changes. So, everyone, if this episode has resonated with you, share it with a friend, family, or someone who actually need to listen to this, and leave us a review. And remember that you have more control over your health and masculinity than you think. So, until next time, stay hydrated, stay strong, and stay curious. So, till then, thank you so much.
Thank you.